Hey Scorpio, welcome to Catalyst Energies and welcome to your new moon forecast. We're looking at the general themes for Scorpio rising, Scorpio moon, and Scorpio sun for this upcoming new moon in 12 to 13 degrees of Aquarius on February 1st, 2022. So welcome back, everyone. If you're new to this channel or this series, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Everything you need is in the description box below, including links to 2 other videos that will provide a lot of context for this report. One being the live stream that I just broadcasted that is the weekend astrology leading up to this new moon, because we will have the new moon on a Tuesday. So that's important. And then the Pleiadian Revival is a journey through the time period when the nodes of the moon, which are right here in these areas of your 1st and 7th house, Scorpio, that are going to be moving through the territory of the Pleiades star cluster. So that report is also provide context for especially the lead up to this full moon, because which is on the 16th of February, because this is for Scorpio along the axis of your power, and the new moon itself is really anchoring itself into the area of your own power and your personal power. But the fact that the full moon not only is going to be along this axis of power, Scorpio, which you are a power generator, that is what Scorpio truly represents. This is where power is generated. This is where returns on investments, the 8th house. This is where, the power is generated in all kinds of things. Any kind of relationship or binding agreement, the 8th house is where that power resides and is generated. And oftentimes this is when you have to go into the darker, less seen, subconscious, feeling-oriented aspects of a relationship in order to really understand the power. So Scorpio, this is, power is the main theme for you with this particular new moon and this lunar cycle, because it culminates with the full moon in Leo in your 10th house. And so this axis of where you draw your power from and where it's released in terms of a mission, a career, the zenith of your destiny, Scorpio, here at the 10th house. The contributions you make to the socio-political sphere. This is all 10th house stuff. And so this particular cycle, especially the new moon to the full moon, not only is related to power for the Scorpio person, but is also full of starseed markings that are related to the Pleiades and Orion in particular. The full moon at 27 to 28 degrees of Leo. This is a galactic degree for Atlantis. The degree of the sun at that full moon is the natal moon of the United States chart. So we'll get into that as well, but it's very karmic because it's in a square, as we're going to see with the nodes. And since the nodes now are in very fundamentally personal places for the Scorpio person, being the 1st house and the 7th house of Taurus, and all of this Pleiadian energy that is surrounding it, Scorpio and Taurus people in particular are going to feel the karmic elements of this particular lunar cycle. So we're going to, what else is happening during this 2 weeks? Well, we're going to see here that Mercury's going to station direct in Capricorn, which is the 3rd house. We're going to see that Saturn and the sun also come together in an exact conjunction in the 4th house. This is the area of the new moon as well. And Chiron is brought into the picture when Mars is in a square to Chiron, Mars in the 3rd house squaring to Chiron. So Mercury is going to station direct and come back and meet Pluto. This is why it's important maybe to listen to today's the weekend astrology report to go into what a Mercury-Pluto conjunction really represents in and of itself. And also at the same time is going to make connections over to the North Node in your 7th house. So these particular players are going to be brought into the conversation in different ways from different angles throughout the next 2 weeks leading up to the full moon. And with an Aquarius new moon, I mean, Uranus is kind of taking point on this new moon and having it be your 7th house. This is who you are in your relationship, Scorpio. And truly, it's in relationship that you find your natural fulfillment, value, and worth, because Scorpio is all about getting deeper, merging deeper, generating power, generating resources, bringing things together. And it's the feeling that is created when this happens that generates more and more power. But power is generated regardless of the consciousness or the intention of those parts. And so this is why it gets to be very murky, and we talk more about the abyss and the dark night of the soul and the moon in some ways with Scorpio, because it is the bottom is when you get to the bottom of things. When people say that, it's to get to the truth. And that's really what you get in Scorpio in the 8th house. So you are just an intense person, Scorpio. And that intensity is inseparable from the concept of other in which to merge with. And so there is a strong tendency towards investigation and a strong tendency towards intense emotions and to really merge with other. And this is where, like I said, you find your natural fulfillment. And with the North Node now in the 7th house, with the South Node or K2 in the 1st house, these themes are very karmic for all of us, and they're going to be along the lines of your actual personality, who you are and who you are in relationship. And with Uranus very involved in, there's going to be a square to the sun in Aquarius this weekend. There's going to be trines from Venus. There's trines with the moon in Capricorn this weekend, Mars this weekend leading up to this new moon. It's a shifting landscape, Scorpio, in terms of who you are in relationship, right? What is your natural fulfillment? It's really moving around quite a bit and glitching quite a bit. But now that the North Node is here, it's going to be an area of focus for everybody, and especially for you to really start addressing your natural fulfillment in relationship and your awakening process through that. Because Scorpio, who are you without your other in which you merge with, whatever that is? Your intensity is built around the whatever concepts or people or any kind of commitment. This is what the Scorpio wants. And the South Node, even though it's where we've been, there'll be a place for the Scorpio person, I feel like, to represent the power that we generate, and remembering that and utilizing it as momentum moving forward on our soul's evolution. But it's a lot of the energy for Scorpio right now is in the bottom of the chart. And we're finishing up a lunar cycle for Scorpio 3rd house right now, in terms of your mind, your everyday environment, the communications that you have in your everyday environment, learning, language, expression. This is your DMs and your texts. The 3rd house, right? This is the news sites that you go to. This is the social media sites or channels that you're part of that you go to every day. Like, it is the realm of your mind's interaction in order to learn, in order to observe, in order to reason, in order to apply logic. And it's just the realm of ideas. And so there's a massive amount of metamorphosis happening because of Pluto, but now that Mercury is involved, especially in its retrograde, there is especially now going back into Capricorn, an opportunity right now to utilize the sphere and the realm of the mind in these types of activities, Scorpio. And with Pluto involved in the same house and with Mars, both of these are ruling planets for a Scorpio to also be in this area. There is tremendous transformation and a pioneering spirit around ideas, letting go of old ideas, embracing new ideas. And ultimately at the full moon, Mars and Venus are going to come together and release their themselves from the bondage of what has been. And ultimately, this is what we, set intentions around with this new moon in Capricorn that we are finishing up at this moment. This balsamic moon that's going to move through Capricorn is going to be the chance over the weekend for everybody to emotionally and intuitively even come back to that point and feel into that process and see how when it's reduced down to that dark moon, there's no illumination from the sun. It's just very reduced. It's very dark. This is why they call it balsamic, right? Because that's, the vinegar aspect where it's, reduced down to a much more distilled essence. How do we feel about it, right? And this is going to bring Uranus into the fold because there's going to be all these trines to Uranus. So there's a lot of finishing up of ideas, and Lilith over here is coming up obviously with this new moon directly because it's in a sextile to Uranus. It's going to be in opposition to Venus in this area that is now direct, right? And so not only is Mars charging through with new ideas and pioneering in the realm of of ideas and concepts, but Venus also realizing now, after taking a very deep inventory of these concepts and ideas and information, ready now to start really listening and really taking in the lectures about how it all works, right? How the whole system of information dissemination works, right? Or how everything is connected in your immediate environment. That could be a way too. But there's something that we've wanted to release. We've been preparing ourselves to release, and at the full moon on the 16th, Venus and Mars come together in this third house, and you are finally released in a very palpable, accessible way from that which has held you back so that you can be more organic and authentic in your mind, in your mental space, and the ideas that you are really working with. And there's going to be plenty of opportunities with Mercury in your third house. Pluto involved is going back over again to really put that mental sphere and mental activity towards the a really deep analysis, like very deep analysis. Because Scorpio, if you are not able to draw on your personal power successfully, which you are really, because Saturn is here and the sun is going to meet Saturn. And in some ways, this can be very limiting in terms of where you allow your root system to spread to, but it also is incredibly strong, really, really strong. And, Saturn rules your third house. And so it's very important that the ideas that are associated with this level of authority and security and bindedness that Saturn can represent, and a very strict kind of schedule, these are ancient roots, right? With Saturn in the fourth house like this. This is like the grandfather oak tree's roots, right? They've been there for a long time, and they keep the Scorpio person solid as a rock in terms of stability in personal power. Because again, you are a power generator. So when you want to be able to be stable in your capacity to pull power from where? Well, the social environment mostly, but this can also be a very limiting and very bitter, very, Saturn in the fourth house is kind of like, a single mom in some ways that has to step into being dad. And it's so rigid that there's not a lot of space within to have the emotional vulnerability, because protection and security is more important than the ability to be vulnerable and to grow within, right? So that's the other thing. But in the case of having this new moon in Aquarius and Uranus being very involved here in, especially in the seventh house for you and who you are in your relationships, your capacity to be able to naturally measure shifts and changes in your personal life, your inner life, your family life, right? And this is family of origin. Your marriage is the fourth house, right? These types of emotional, your relationships, your spiritual community. It's very, very, it's very rooted and anchored really strongly with Saturn here, and Saturn is strong in Aquarius. And with this new moon, you want to set intentions to allow yourself to grow and develop as a social barometer, and to be able to measure the shifts and changes and pressure in your inner life. Because if you aren't able to do that and you're generating power still without being able to be a finely tuned instrument in terms of where you're drawing your power from, Scorpio, then you may not actually be able to forecast the weather properly. And if you don't do that, then this is where you may find yourself kind of caught off guard or not prepared. And Aquarius is not about controlling the controlling nature, although that's often where it's every single time has led to. But the highest version of Aquarius, in my opinion, is using the human intellect and the human as a, as an evolved species to create technologies and equipments and machines or whatever else, utilize our mental acuity and our physical discipline and our ability to work together to be in harmony with nature, and in order to make forecast when there are going to be changes, so that we're in sync and that we can prepare and that we can store energy, right? Like Aquarius is like a battery. And so we want to, and so is the social environment, and so is the actual environment, like the global environment, the planetary environment, the galactic environment. It stores energy, it's holding energy. So, and the thing about the full moon for all of us is that this full moon in Leo opposite the sun, as we're going to see, not only is it going to be a grand square with the nodes of the moon, it's very overwhelming degree of Leo. This is where it's very exciting, but the potentials of what this energy can be used for is very overwhelming. And in their 10th house, Scorpio, this is about your career, how you're going to feel about, what you're contributing to creating at a social level. And you may find yourself also picking up on the socio-political needs and feelings as well, being overwhelmed. And as a Scorpio person, that's not surprising, because you'll be, as a water sign, especially as such a deep water sign, you're going to pick up on the very deep reverberations. And this is probably not going to be that deep. It's probably going to be at this full moon. We've been talking about mid-February for a long time on this channel. So we're all going to go through something together. And for you, it's going to have a lot to do with, you're going to feel, and it's going to be very clear, like how much potential there is in terms of your career and your mission, Scorpio. And, this depends on a lot of things in your personal chart, which is why it's really important. So at the end, I'm going to show a flyer for a set of starseed readings that are on sale right now if you haven't seen it, because this full moon in particular is so starseed oriented that if you want to know and you don't, this is a great opportunity while it's on sale. So that's going to be at the end, though. So Scorpio, let's see what else is happening for you during this time. We've talked about Mercury and Pluto, everything making this connection with the North Node, and eventually the Sun also going to be squaring the North Node in the 7th house. And something about belief systems, Scorpio, with Black Moon Lilith here, it's going to be in conjunction with Sirius over the weekend. You can see at the new moon, it's in a sextile to Uranus. The thing is Scorpio, you haven't really settled on like true, natural, organic fulfillment necessarily in who you are in relationship, but the attention on this is starting to grow with the North Node here, and Uranus being so innovative, but also very unsettled. And one of the things that over the weekend leading up to the new moon is the Sun going to be in a square to Uranus. So again, if what I do see, though, is that with all of the Capricorn energy, especially the moon and Venus and and Mars, all going to be in a trine to Uranus here. But there's something about the belief system too that there's a strong, I think, like very primal urge somewhere to defend or protect or to find protection through some type of belief system, a cultural value system, some sort of understanding or big picture that was really highlighted with the last full moon because it was in Cancer, this basic area. And we do know that for Scorpio that there's been a massive overhaul in order to transform in terms of ideas and information and communication, or just your immediate environment or your nervous system in general. And with the full moon, you got a really strong, clear reflection back to you in your feelings about these belief systems and if they are going to hold. So whatever is left there that is maybe so deep that we don't even know, or is an expression of not just us, but our connection to our own ancestral lineage on this planet, still demands to be heard and needs to be seen, is in this area of belief system. And I think that when ideas change and information changes, like the actual data sets change, or you release yourself from old patterns in order to embrace or create space for new ones, belief systems are going to change. That's just all there is to it. And so there's something still wanting to hold on there, that if you are able to enact some sort of humor with this, it will really not only it will assist and activate in some way this changing landscape about who you are in your relationships, because it is changing. And the fact that it can't be stable is part of how you are able to understand the value of other people and your close personal relationships. And that's where the power is truly generated, is in those relationships. And so there's innovation and a real chance for awakening in this area. And now with the Pleiadian aspect here, it's going to be, everybody's going to be drawn to this aspect, but for you, it's in this area. So I don't know, have a sense of humor. You could find yourself, your belief systems really like coming under some sort of fire in some way, or maybe they are just, maybe that it just needs to come out, and maybe it's going to come out in a way that hurts somebody's feelings. Maybe your feelings will be hurt. I mean, we are talking about Cancer here, and we are talking about Black Moon Lilith. You know, this is very deep. This is like the original blueprint of the feminine. This is primal that will come out. So it's not going to be contained or controlled. It just needs an outlet. And Venus over here in opposition is like the grandmother that's just like, yep, go for it. I'm going to hold it down here in your own mind and in your nervous system as a whole, while this expression, this primal urge is coming out around understanding. Maybe it's transmutational as well, but there will be this anchor as well, or just a mature and wise sensitivity in your mind and in your communication and in just what you know, that is going to keep you from like just becoming this, right? As opposed to letting it move through you. And again, there's something here that is really important with embracing the instability with who you are in your relationships, because there's something there that we all can wake up from if we see it that way. And of course, there, like I said, all these trines over to Uranus, from if you understand the inner workings of your mind and you understand the inner workings and the patterns that start out being eventually the larger network of information, how you communicate to people, things like that. It will allow for you to manage yourself in your relationships, and allow for the disruption and the reorientation to be a trigger for your awakening, as opposed to just keeping you from actually like being able to be in relationship, because that is the direction of everybody's soul's journey now, is this area of Taurus. And so for Scorpio, you're just going to have to, this is just where you're going to be drawn to at a soul level to evolve, is in relationships and in binding contracts. And so let's see what else we want to talk about, Scorpio. I think that actually is going to do it for this transmission. There are other aspects involved, like Chiron, of course, is your sticking point, Scorpio, just in general, that's going to be aspected not only by a sun sextile, but Mars is going to square it, is in the area of your work on yourself, right? You have no problem getting deep into with other people or deep into situations or investigating, but when it comes to, and you shouldn't have any, naturally you don't have any problem even getting into the underbelly of yourself and working on yourself and understanding yourself. But that is where your sticking point is in the 6th house. Chiron here is really holding Scorpio back. And so, there are opportunities to heal and let go as you sink even deeper and become even more powerful in your inner life or your inner emotional life or your personal life, but also too, like being able to trust yourself, your ideas, maybe to trust the information so that you can analyze it. There's something here that is stopping Scorpio people ultimately from being just being themselves and analyzing themselves. And I think that this is going to have a big opportunity to clear up over this next 2 weeks in particular. And when the moon is close to being full and will come into a trine with Chiron that very same day, there will be a sense of renewal from, you'll see, the dawn ahead, right? You'll come out from the dark night and you'll feel like, oh, this is allowing me to take myself out of all of the emotional triggers about analyzing myself and just realize all of the potential of what you could create in participation with others if you, are able to get back into who you are and actually work on yourself. And I think that Scorpio, that's the thing, Scorpio, if you can get past the old wounds and shame and guilt about just being yourself, your own work on yourself that makes you into makes you into this incredibly solid, stable person in any relationship that you're in, naturally, it will be, once you can get past Chiron here, and not that you will anytime soon. Chiron's going to be in Aries for a while. Chiron has a 50-year orbit. So we're all in our lifetime dealing with Chiron here in Aries, disrupting our natural potential, right, with all of these wounds. And your natural potential is so easily executed in the moments that have to do with personal reconstitution and training and discipline and getting into who you are and actually moving the physical earth within yourself. And it requires analysis. And the Hermit is so related to the 6th house and Scorpio as well. So you are so naturally capable of going in here, but there's a fear and there are triggers, right? And until you're able to do that, it's going to be hard for the Scorpio person to really fully engage with their mission, because of this imbalance here and somebody else's ideas of what you need to be doing with your time on a daily basis, and who you should or shouldn't be. So, Scorpio, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. You got a little bit of extra time, but hey, Scorpio, this is a big time for Scorpio people in general, all the way up until May. And I would even argue, because the solar eclipse or the full moon lunar eclipse in May is also going to be along the Taurus, Scorpio, Pleiadian axis. I mean, it's, the next year is going to be very impactful on Scorpio, and a lot of that is just because the South Node's going to be moving through Scorpio for the next year and a half. So there's a lot of focus on you and who you are and who you've been and who you can become, which has a lot to do with who you are in relationships. So you got a lot of work to do on yourself, Scorpio. Which is exactly where a lot of the triggers and PTSD is in this area. So you have a very important mission ahead of you, Scorpio. So thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Let me bring up that flyer really quick, Scorpio, and just to show you for the Pleiadian Revival that goes out from November to May, or no, to about March, April, when the nodes are in the Pleiadian aspect of Taurus and Scorpio. I'm offering these starseed readings, 30-minute recorded reading, $44. Great way to just get into your starseed markings. The 60-minute goes way deeper into your chart, and we really weave together a narrative of who you are at a multidimensional and galactic level. And of course, any service that you get, I'm doing 30-minute Reiki add-ons for only $22. I mean, that's a steal as far as I'm concerned. So I've been practicing Reiki for 15 years. I'm a Reiki master, and you can just go to my testimonial page if you want to see what people have to say about my work. So Scorpio, thank you so much for being here. I will see you on the next I'll see you on the next video, which will be the full moon in Leo leading up to the new moon in the new moon in Pisces. That'll be in March. So until then, Scorpio, take care of yourself, have a great new moon, and I'll see you next time. Bye.